Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. All right, so in our last lesson, we really got into the weeds on implementing proxy patterns for scalability, right? But look, as we all know, you can have the most beautifully configured proxy in the world, and it still won't fix fundamental UX clashes when you actually hit the messy reality of a production environment. So this explainer, it's all about making that leap from just diagnosing a problem to actually taking action. We're going to talk about building case-specific strategies and, crucially, picking the exact right tools before you even think about writing a single line of code.
Here is a quick flyover of our agenda. We'll start by diagnosing failed integrations, move into our strategy blueprint metaphor, weigh structural versus cosmetic fixes, map out our 5-step workflow, dive into an NFT marketplace case study, and wrap it all up with handoff criteria and execution. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Diagnosing failed integrations.
Okay, so before we start writing out prescriptions, we've got to deeply understand the illness, right? Diagnosing broken dApps is really about zeroing in on exactly why an integration just completely fell apart in the wild. And honestly, it usually boils down to this: a design principle mismatch. Basically, this happens when a dApp's UX assumptions just totally clash with an integrator's context, or, what the user is actually expecting. It's kind of like trying to install modern, high-pressure plumbing into a centuries-old house that absolutely was not built for it. The pipes are going to burst. In Web 3, this is the literal root cause of disastrous issues, like completely broken onboarding flows. You assumed users had a funded wallet ready to go, and, well, they didn't. Bam, total failure. To avoid that plumbing disaster, we have to move away from just staring at the wreckage. We need to start prescribing actionable, tool-backed implementation plans before any technical configuration even begins. Because listen, choosing the right strategy and the right tool chain early on, that is absolutely your best defense against endless, painful iteration cycles, and for sure, those dreaded 3 a.m. emergency hotfixes down the line.
Which brings us to Section 2, the strategy blueprint metaphor.
To really visualize this process, let's just completely shift our mindset away from raw coding for a second and instead think about structured construction planning. Picture yourself as a lead architect walking onto a messy, chaotic construction site. To draft a solid, reliable strategy blueprint, you need 3 very distinct inputs. First, your case study findings. That's your site assessment. Second, your design principles, which act as your non-negotiable building codes. And third, your integration timeline. You combine those 3 things and you've got a plan that can actually be built.
Moving on to Section 3. Structural versus cosmetic fixes.
Now that we actually have our blueprint in hand, we have to categorize the work it demands. In construction, there is a massive difference between pouring a brand new concrete foundation and just, slapping a fresh coat of paint on the walls. On one side, we have our structural fixes. These are the heavy architectural changes, stuff like deploying new indexers or migrating data. They're slow, and they require highly specialized contractors. But on the flip side, we have cosmetic fixes. Things like tweaking the UI, adjusting some copy, or maybe adding a bit of client-side retry logic. These are fast. Generalists can knock these out. Both are absolutely critical to a successful integration, but they require entirely different tools, timelines, and effort levels.
Which actually brings me to a very serious question for you. Are you treating a structural sinkhole with a cosmetic Band-Aid? Seriously, I have seen developers totally panic over a massive 95th percentile latency spike, which, by the way, is a deep architectural throughput flaw, and they try to solve it by just adding a cuter loading spinner to the user interface. Spoiler alert, the spinner does not fix the sinkhole.
Section 4, the 5-step workflow.
So how do we actually avoid making that mistake? Well, we need a system. Here is the precise, reproducible schematic we use to translate those raw failure signals into a prioritized tool list. Step 1, frame the failure. Step 2, identify candidate strategies. Step 3, score them by impact and effort. Step 4, select your tools. And finally, Step 5, produce your handoff artifacts. I really want you to treat this like a strict, non-negotiable engineering checklist for rapid clarity. This isn't an open-ended essay. Methodical execution beats madness every single time.
Section 5. Case Study. NFT Marketplace.
Okay, let's apply this workflow directly to a real-world scenario. Think about a mobile-first Solana NFT marketplace integration. When we execute Step 1, we don't just say, hey, things are broken. No way. We frame precise quantitative failure signals as our starting point. Let's say we have high mobile abort rates hitting 18%. We've got metadata ingestion errors with 10% of listings failing, and terrifying latency spikes exceeding our SLAs during high-traffic NFT drops. Those hard numbers,
That's our baseline. Next up, we brainstorm strategies and hit step 3, which is scoring impact versus effort. Take a look at this matrix. We score each fix on a scale of 1 to 5 for both impact and effort, and then we just divide them to get a ratio. This is a game changer because it literally forces you to prioritize high-leverage, low-effort work first. Just look at the cosmetic, optimistic UI right at the top there. An impact of 3 and an effort of 1 gives us a ratio of 3. That is an incredibly easy win that reduces user pain immediately, buying us time while we sketch out the much heavier structural work, like intermediary signing, for a bit further down the road.
Moving right along to step 4, selecting tools. The golden rule here, select tool categories and minimum capabilities, not specific vendor brand names. Please, do not just pick a popular indexer because you saw it trending on Twitter. You need to focus on capability fit, operational cost, and composability. You should be demanding specific features, like saying, hey, we need webhook support and event-driven delivery guarantees, rather than just chasing brand recognition.
Section 6. Handoff criteria and execution.
Finally, it is time for step 5. This is the moment where the lead architect hands the finalized blueprints over to the contractors who are actually going to build the thing. A proper handoff brief is a decision-grade packet that completely eliminates ambiguity and stops scope drift dead in its tracks. It's got to include a one-sentence problem statement, the rationale for your chosen strategy, the tool category requirements, a prioritized implementation checklist, and, honestly, most importantly, explicit acceptance criteria.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is defining exactly what success looks like using hard, measurable thresholds. Your acceptance criteria shouldn't just be, make it better. That means nothing. It needs to be something like, reduce mobile abandonment to under 6% within a controlled release. Engineers have to know exactly when a fix actually works and exactly when it fails so they can immediately trigger a rollback.
And before a single line of code is written, you absolutely must add a 30-minute review checkpoint. This is your final pre-construction check. You literally sit down with the engineering team to validate feasibility and catch any of those sneaky hidden costs or integration frictions that just weren't obvious during the scoring phase. Basically, make sure the contractors actually agree that your brilliant blueprint is, buildable in reality.
I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative thought. Is your handoff brief clear enough to guarantee a flawless integration rollout? If it's not, you've got to go back to step 1. Using this systematic approach ensures you're perfectly prepared for our next lesson, where we'll be diving into surveying advanced integration tools. Be sure to visit forge.college to learn more about this subject, explore some deeper case studies, and discover other fantastic Web3 related topics. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.